Welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. The Pharmacy Leaders Podcast is a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, with interviews and advice on building your professional network, brand, and a purposeful second income from students, residents, and innovative professionals.
Hey, welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast. I am away on family vacation, but I wanted to make sure that we had an episode in, and what I'm going to talk about today are pharmacy school ads. So I'm getting a ton of ads because I am looking for real estate investments, and on Zillow and I think Yahoo and YouTube. I see a ton of these ads, and I'd already recorded the episode, but I'm re-recording because it was so negative, and it just, I thought that I was being too specific. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-record with naming the good ones, the ones that I liked, and then I'm not going to say who the ones are that I don't necessarily like. Mercer University College of Pharmacy was one of my favorites. It says, "Think pharmacy is just counting pills. Think again." And they've got 4 students that are in lab coats, no tie, smiles, and all that stuff. And I thought this was a really class act, really doing a great job of advancing the profession, letting people know what it is that we do is very different from the perception that people have of us. The next one was Notre Dame of Maryland University School of Pharmacy, preparing engaged and caring pharmacists. What we don't usually see is pharmacists sitting down with patients, and so important that the visual here is either a pharmacist or pharmacy student counseling on medication. The patient is looking in their pill tray, and you're seeing how a pharmacist is supposed to be practicing, where we sit down with the patient, take some time away, and we're not trying to do it while we're on the phone or saying, "Do you have any questions about the medicine lane 1? Do you have any questions about the medicine lane 2? Third one that I really liked was, let's see. No, that one's just a lie. Let's see. Okay. Transforming pharmacy into a primary care profession. So I thought that this is California Health Sciences University. In 7 words, they've said exactly what we're trying to do down in Washington, D.C., and just as a nation. We are trying to transform pharmacy into a primary care profession. And while many of you that are working in VA systems already know that we are primary care professionals in those regards, we're trying to do it at a much greater scale to show that we can do it. And, physician assistants, nurse practitioners have a lot of abilities that we don't. And I think that these 7 words are really a mantra for saying, okay, what are we trying to do? What can pharmacists do? And, we're trying to transform pharmacy into a primary care profession. So I thought that was really well articulated. As far as, how you want to make an ad for students to feel welcome, I don't think anyone could have done it better than University of California, San Francisco. It's a banner ad, and on the left-hand side, it's kind of like a V, so you're coming down the hallway, and on the left and right, you have all these students smiling, welcoming you, and it's really cool. It's like, we really want you to be here at, UCal San Francisco. And then on the right-hand side, it's Critical Thinkers, Limitless Futures, Discover How, and it's the Golden Gate Bridge. Not only does it provide, the people and how welcoming it is, but on the right side, it gives you in just one picture exactly where you're going to be. So in terms of, the message, and I have a graduate background in rhetorical communication or rhetoric and professional communication, probably one of the best ones that I've seen. But I've had hundreds of these impressions from these ads, so I wanted to talk a little bit about how some of the ads are maybe not advancing the profession and how they could do a better job. So I understand that the 3-year PharmD degree is a benefit of being able to go more quickly, but if you have people that are just in lab coats and they're looking at medicine and they're not really doing anything, What we want to do is have those people in some way interacting with the public so that the people that get this, besides the students, are also saying, oh, I didn't know a pharmacist could do that, or I didn't know that, that's how pharmacy is supposed to be. Some issues that some of the schools maybe have in that they put just their logo, but if you're from another area, and so for example in Zillow, if I'm looking in Arizona, it doesn't give me schools on the west or in the southwest or on the west. It gives me schools from wherever. So it's not dependent. Google does that, but Zillow doesn't. So if you're going to put your logo, you have to tell me what the college is, because I don't necessarily know what logo is, because it's just saying College of Pharmacy, apply now. All right, well, which college is it? I have no idea. Then I've found another one where sometimes the text and what's happening in no way agree. So I'm not going to use the actual words to identify the ad, but it basically says, we're totally different than your regular pharmacy school. We are not your regular pharmacy school. But in the ad, you've got pill bottles and you've got mortar and pestle saying, well, we might not be a regular pharmacy school, but it's counting pills and compounding medicines as usual. So really what you want to do is, if you're going to have students engaging, have them do something that is, there are tons of examples from the hard work that the students at APHA are doing with Generation RX, with the diabetes, Operation Diabetes, immunizations. One of those advanced roles is what you should have them do. Don't have them talking to each other around a bunch of pills. Some schools use community, like you're going to be part of our community. And as someone who went to a college for pharmacy that didn't have a football stadium, I really envy this school. But that's certainly a way to get people into the school, but it in no way talks about pharmacy. And although it says pharmacy, what we really want to do is in some way advance the profession if you're going to spend this much money on ads. If you have a school of pharmacy that in no way tells you where it is, it's really not helpful. So I get that somebody paid a lot of money to the school and now the name of the school is on their, the school's named after them. But if you don't put where it is, I have no idea if I should click on this or not, because I'm going to look regionally at, this school or that school. And then please again, things like pipettes, weighing scales, lab coats and gloves, while hygienic, you're portraying pharmacy as exactly what we're trying to say it isn't. And we're saying it's a primary care profession, but the pictures are saying we're in the back counting pills or we're in the basement making IVs. Same thing, a lot of times I'll see a PharmD ad, but PhD work. So PhDs often use pipettes, PhDs often use certain computer equipment and laboratory equipment. And if a school of pharmacy just sends it to an ad agency, they're going to give you an ad that looks just like that says, hey, this is what I think in pharmacy looks like. Oh, yeah, that's what we think too. And it's just not advancing the profession. Another 3 calendar year pharmacy ad. Again, if you're just going to show a picture of a smiling student, have the student doing something that matters to the profession or helps the profession. Don't just say, okay, well, we're 3 years, that's our value proposition, and here's a student, she seems happy, you'll be happy. Do a little better than that. I can't really talk about this one without this just infuriates me. But basically, there are a school out there that is making how do I put this? They're saying that their return on investment is going to be better than other schools' return on investment. And you just heard the episode from Travis Hornsby, and we talked a little bit about this. But if you want to know what it's really going to cost you to go to pharmacy school, multiply that number by 1.25 is his advice. But what they do is they use present value, not future value. So if your tuition is going up, if the cost of living goes up, that's not in those numbers. The other thing is if you use salary, gross salary, as a way to say, hey, you're going to make this much, that's completely deceiving, because you're going to net only a fraction of that. You're going to have many costs to take care of. And I know that 16% of students don't have any debt at the end, but 84% do. So to say this is what it costs and not put the actual costs, and to say this is what it's going to, what you're going to make, and it's not what you're actually going to take home, is completely misleading. What you want to do, and what is fair to the student, because I think that school's eventually going to get sued by some student that says I didn't get a job, or I got a job that doesn't make that much. What you really want to do is say this tuition is the lowest, or our graduates make the most. Those are identifiable and quantifiable and verifiable numbers. That's something that you can compete on, but don't do that. Don't say it's going to cost this much and you're going to make this much, because that's just not true. Another thing that you can do that one school did really well, and this is Hawaii, is that you can show somebody being in a place and being happy by taking the lab coat off. And so they have their lab coats in their hands, and you can say, okay, well, it's probably, hot there and nice and wonderful, and there are no winters, so they're carrying their lab coats. But also, one person's got a polo shirt on, one person's got a tie, so you're showing professionalism sometimes, and that you can be more relaxed at other times. But I thought the Hawaii one, and I mean, Hawaii's got such a big advantage. It's Hawaii, that's just amazing. Again, making claims like this is the place to start your pharmacy journey, or this place to start your pharmacy journey is better than others. There are a ton of other ads doing the same thing. You're not saying anything new. You're not really helping us as a profession. The way to help us as a profession is to say that the profession is moving forward and show them this is how it's happening and be a part of it. That's what I would do. Don't show buildings. Like, buildings in no way, I get that it's an homage to the person that gave the money to found the school, but a building is static. A building in no way shows what pharmacists can do. A medical school building versus a pharmacy school building versus a nursing building, there's no difference. Okay, so we want to differentiate ourselves as a profession. Okay? The PharmD MBA is a smart thing to put together, so students, especially those that are interested in business and PharmD, although most MBAs are really not going to teach you how to be a solopreneur, which is what we really need. It still will give you the basics of business in one way or another, but I would definitely hope that schools will start making MBAs or making business classes that are much more relevant to a solopreneur or an entrepreneur. Here's another one that the picture doesn't agree with the text. So have the people looking at me. Don't have them doing laboratory work. Don't have them doing things that are, pipetting, and don't have them counting pills, and don't have them in front of pill bottles and things like that. We get that it's about pharmacy. The word pharmacy is there. Don't do that. And then make sure you tell if you have an acronym for your school, make sure you tell them where they are in the country. Because if this one that I'm looking at, it's saying we're here, but most people will think they're somewhere different. So again, be very clear of where something is. Maybe put a map on there, and this is where we are, and and so forth. I mean, this school could have an ocean in their picture. I don't know why you wouldn't put an ocean when you could do that. So anyway, I wanted to try to be as positive as possible about this, but there are hundreds and thousands of impressions coming from all this money pharmacy schools are pouring into ads. If you're going to make an ad about pharmacy school, make an ad about that advances the profession, that shows us doing the things that we want to do and that we are doing to help people. Don't make us a static profession. Don't have us counting pills. Don't have us pipetting. Don't have us doing the types of things that just make it so that we're in the basement of a hospital, or that we're working drive-through in some way or another. So while this was kind of aimed at the people in pharmacy schools that make these decisions. If you're a pharmacy student and you see an ad about your school and you're like, that's not what we do, I would bring it up with the dean. I think they'd be really responsive to you, and they may have actually, they're too busy. The staffing might not be there to do marketing, or they might not have the marketing expertise. Just say, hey, I don't really know if that ad is saying what we do. I mean, this is what we do, and here's some pictures of what we do. Is there a way that maybe we could be part of creating this campaign? Because this is the most important campaign of all, which is to say that we are someone that you would want in a physician's office, that you want sitting down with patients and so forth. So that's my rant. Hopefully this was helpful, and I will talk to you next week.
Support for this episode comes from the audiobook Memorizing Pharmacology, a relaxed approach. With over 9,000 sales in the United States, United Kingdom, and Australia, it's the go-to resource to ease the pharmacology challenge. Available on Audible, iTunes, and Amazon.com, in print, ebook, and audiobook. Thank you for listening to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. Be sure to share the show with the hashtag #PharmacyLeaders.